Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the year 1964, where Godzilla would go against quite possibly the greatest challenge of his life. This, my friends, is Godzilla versus the Thing.
Oh God, right. That is. I was going to save that for a joke later, but yes, in this movie, Mothra vs. Godzilla was released in the US with the title Godzilla vs. the Thing, and the gimmick was that the
The
poster had a tentacle creature with a gigantic sign on it. Behind this sign is the Thing. We're not showing you, the surprise, and since it's Mothra, of course, that poster is blatant false advertising.
Yeah, so here's part of the problem as well. Mothra was already known to the American public. Like, the movie Mothra came out in America. So, like, this isn't even a case where, Americans wouldn't know who Mothra was. No, they did. That said, I love how they were really, and I do mean really all for this advertising. Like, one of the covers is literally Godzilla fighting against a giant question mark, essentially, enticing people to know what the thing is, what it will be. Yes, that's right. John Carpenter went back in time and made this glorious prequel to the thing from another world.
That'd be like if you had the poster for Avengers Infinity War, but you replace Thanos with some random starfish creature.
That's for the
No,
DC
no, no. You
Universe
see,
Star Leaves. It's another
this
thing.
is Avengers Infinity War. We don't know who the Avengers will fight, but it will be some guy with a purple chin who you have never heard of whatsoever in Avengers, or Avengers 2, or Guardians of the Galaxy. Who could it be?
Anyway, to be more on point, as mentioned, this is Mothra vs. Godzilla from 1964, made out of a success of their respective movie, the two movies the two kaijus were previously, the Mothra solo movie and King Kong vs. Godzilla. So yes, as we mentioned, you have to thank King Kong for revitalizing Godzilla as a kaiju movie series, and this is where basically, while the ball had begun moving, this is where it officially gained more traction, basically.
So I'm guessing the idea with revitalizing Godzilla was crossovers. Pit him up against King Kong, who was, well, the king of kaijus at the time, despite a hiatus of his own, and then put him up against Mothra, who was arguably coming up to be the most popular kaiju of the time, essentially. I believe after this, they would finally start putting him back on his own career.
Technically, yes. Well, the other kaiju will still show up as supportive or antagonistic role, like Mothra is in the next movie, but they will properly start having kaijus that are original for Godzilla. If I recall correctly, in the next movie, Rodan will also be present, which added solo movie in 1956, as mentioned. But the next movie sees the introduction of Godzilla's definite arch rival, which was created for these movies instead of having his solo movie. But again, we're not here for that. We're here for Mothra versus Godzilla. And yes, just as with King Kong, Mothra gets top billing instead of Gojira. Alright, Lives, so where should we start?
Just before the Criterion Collection logo.
As a reminder, and as we mentioned, since it's Mothra vs. Godzilla, we're doing the original Japanese cut, which is more easy to understand the difference, because again, the American version, which is another edited version, it's a call, as mentioned, Godzilla vs. the Thing, so we're not doing that yet, I guess. Alright, take us away, please, Dweebs.
Alright, 3, 2, 1, go.
I mentioned the false advertising for the English title, but my country takes the cake because I traveled to check. Most other foreign countries do keep the Mothra vs. Godzilla title, nothing that much interest to it, but for some reason, my country decides to get a completely different title on its own. I already told that to David, so I'm gonna ask him, but just take a shot in the dark. Try to think what this movie would be called in a foreign country that is not Mothra vs. Godzilla or Godzilla vs. the Thing. What do you think would be called?
Well, okay, if Pokemon had been a thing, I'd say it would be called Godzilla versus Butterfree, but since it wasn't, I'm guessing it's Godzilla versus Monstra Butterfly.
You're giving it way too much credit. The translation direct from the Italian title is Watang! Exclamation mark in the fabulous empire of monsters.
What the hell does Watang even mean?
It's the sound. It's kind of like wusha, but I don't know. Like I don't understand. And fabulous, it's intended more as fantastical, wondrous. It's still, what a fucking vague title that has nothing to do with the movie. Who the
And
fuck?
like, why would you
Someone was
make
paid
a
to
title
write
that vague? Like, it's not like you're titling for a super cerebral, super smart and subtle film. It's Mothra versus Godzilla.
It's
You
not
can be
rocket
blunt with your
science.
title.
And trust me, Jova, it won't be the last case where the Italian title of these movies decides to whatever the fuck they want.
Lord.
Anyway, we start off in the middle of the ocean. Now, if I remember correctly, the Mothra solo movie is not really referenced as much. Elements from it are kept, like the the two little fairies, basically, and the egg tied to Infant Island, but the circumstances tied to it are different, and the events of the Mothra movie are not really referenced.
That being said, it seems we may have been a bit mistaken in our Mothra commentary since the Peanuts actually do return as the Shobijin in this movie. In fact, I think the Peanuts were basically the Shobijin for all of the Showa era, essentially.
But
no, I think it's only this film afterwards. This one, and that was it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just double check.
Good news, a water reclamation project has been completed. Bad news, they'll have to start it all over again.
Bummer.
Tisk. Also, in regards to the Shobijin, apparently they have actually been a thing that stuck around even into modern times.
Yes.
Albeit in different shapes or forms.
Even in the anime movies, technically. And even in Godzilla, the post-credit scene of, not post-credit scene, but the credits of Godzilla King of the Monsters, because for those who don't know, Mothra dies in that movie too, it's a recurring thing. The credits showcase a newspaper that says that Mothra is reincarnating, and the two little fairies are there for the egg.
In fact, the official Godzilla channel, which is currently releasing a Chibi Godzilla series, even has Mothra pretty much bring him up. In fact, one of the episodes is literally about the twins starting a kaiju cafe. And yes, that does involve Godzilla getting into a maid outfit at some point.
Of course.
Anyway, no. The Peanuts pretty much do show up for Mothra versus Godzilla, and the film after this one, essentially. So, if I recall correctly, that's pretty much the whole Showa era, since I don't think Mothra...
I need to remember when Mothra shows up again.
Make it snappy, get it? Because she's a photographer. It's like how in Pokemon Snap, where the main character is called Todd Snap.
Yeah. Well, that was for the English, translation. I don't remember what he was called in Japanese.
I don't know what he was called in Japanese.
Me neither. Anyway, no, remember, Mothra Jova is referenced in Ebira, Horror of the Deep, and Destroy All Monsters, which were still part of the Showa era. No, but just without the fairies, yeah.
Yeah. That's what I said. I think the Peanuts pretty much portrayed them for all their appearances in the Showa era. It would be later eras where they would be portrayed by different actresses.
Similar to the Mothra movie, however, one of the consistent themes is not necessarily how humans are monsters because they pollute the environment or anything, but how greedy people tend to ruin stuff because of the impulse of money rather than the desire to do good.
Which, I guess seems to be... I think that's an interesting way that makes Mothra kind of more of a definitively heroic kaiju compared to the others. Like, Godzilla, at least, up till this film basically was, yes, arguably a result of the human interference. One might argue due to radiation and whatnot, but he took it out on way too many innocent people.
But yeah, pretty's a pretty relative term here, Mom.
Pretty in the sense that it'll make us millions?
Mm.
Also, stop me if you heard this before. A huge reporter subplot.
Akira Takarada is the in the movie, in this movie, is, I believe, yeah.
Oh, recurring from the Mothra movie.
I love that gag.
He was in the original Godzilla movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He would go on to appear in a few others after this: Invasion of Astro Monster, Ebirah Horror of the Deep, Godzilla and Mothra: The Battle for Earth, and Godzilla Final Wars.
I love it. We're bringing religion into this. Which
Remember, similar to the
did
first
happen
Godzilla,
with the first Mothra
yeah.
movie.
But wait, I don't see Steve Martin in the scene. How can I understand what's going on?
And well, here's something apparently. In terms of its export to the US, this was the first movie that didn't have a load of re-editing done to it.
So it was pretty much just they dubbed it.
Well, there were a few little cuts, and they changed the title.
I guess
and there was a scene that was only intended for.
Movies.
And there was a scene that was cut from the Japanese version that was only intended for exports. That was included in the newer version. But other than that, yeah, Americans mostly got the version that Japan saw.
Again, this would probably lead to the ultimate evolution, I think, in the 2000s, where basically they would just compromise and straight up have, like, Japanese and American actors, and I think just have the thing as is. With maybe the only difference being that American versions had everyone speaking English.
So, yeah.
Said American cut has been out of print for a while. It was only ever released on a classic media DVD. I don't know when exactly. And the scene in question that I was referring to was a bunch of US naval ships fighting Godzilla.
Well, if that giant egg is what I think it is, expect Mothra to be asleep, since remember, for her first appearance, Mothra arguably spent 50% of her screen time sleeping.
I love that they just go very close to it, to scrap it instead of actually making sure that it's not, like, radioactive.
Oh, now, who ever heard of a radioactive egg?
The people in, I forgot the name, the Roger Corman's company edit of Angel's Egg. Kinda, sorta.
Oh.
Come, ask the question. I mean, if it was, everyone in there would probably be dead already.
Maybe it's one of those ticking time bombs. Nature has a way of playing jokes on us.
Happy Enterprises. I'm sure they're a straight up bunch.
This is like the equivalent of making still, like, the next thing that you should need to have is another leader of a Zaibatsu, but it's just called Mr. Money.
Yeah, very specific figure, like he said. Oh,
Very precise. Why would you even want to buy the fucking thing?
Let me guess, tourist attraction. Come see the giant egg you can only see here. Oh, and of course we'll make a show about watching it hatch.
I love it. Something weird is washed on a shore. Let's turn it into, a tourist attraction.
This must be on that backwater part of Japan that did not hear about the last time something washed up and a giant angry kaiju came back to get it.
I love it. He knew he was going to take a photo and he literally smoked in her face. Can you, just in case you were wondering how evil this guy is,
Boy, I guess he realized he had big shoes to fill after Clark Nelson. Jesus Christ. So place your bets. Will he be stomped by Godzilla or eaten by Mothra's comeuppance?
we shall see.
Ooh?
Yeah, what is the government doing?
Like, okay, even if they don't take Mothra into consideration of continuity, if they're taking only the Godzilla movies into consideration, yeah, they should still be worried about a giant egg given, everything that's happened. Let's see, giant radioactive lizard that we literally had to turn to a skeleton to kill the first time. Second giant radioactive lizard who we've seen be able to kill another with his breath. Yeah, I'd be worried about a giant egg.
Of course.
So there's possibly a man up top, even beyond Kumayana. And who is behind this?
Dr. Serizawa as a cyborg. No. You can tell he's evil because he's smoking a cigar.
And he is only obsessed with money. 50 million yen. How much is that in, well, let's go for the common thing and say dollars.
Especially for 1964.
I'll ask Google.
Oh no.
Yes.
See how it goes. How much did they say?
50 million yens in 1964.
For reference, this
How
movie
many dollars was 50 million yen worth in 1964? About 138 to 140,000 US dollars.
Fair enough.
I guess regarding inflation, that must have been really big.
Yes.
For reference sake, this movie cost 123 million yen to make, but it's okay because it grossed 3.2 billion yen.
Oh, just the sight. Oh, there's the Shoujin.
Please give us back our egg! I see they decided to change up their wardrobe.
A bit more
to dress fancy for visiting.
And to resemble more actual, moth.
Which, I guess to be fair, if Mothra's still canon, we could assume they're doing this because this time they weren't kidnapped.
Also, again, props to the set design team for managing to recreate the pieces of the room on scale for the sake of the scenes with the twins. Again,
Yes.
remember, every time we get to a scene with them, it's them on a set that has recreation of those. And yeah, I can tell you it's very convincing even today. So,
yeah, they must have had to. Yeah, like imagine they made a giant version of some of those chairs, I guess, too.
Recreated the specific planimetry and all. That's impressive, actually. You know that these days it probably would have been a bit CGI'd, at least.
Yeah, out. Should lock the door earlier.
Yeah, they're magical fairies. What did you expect? Use iron next time.
Fun fact, actually, the bad guy here is played by Kenji Sahara. He was the lead character in the 1956 Rodon movie.
Huh. How the turns have tabled.
Yes, from hero to bad guy. Incidentally, he was also in Frankenstein Conquers the World, aka Frankenstein versus Baragon.
Interesting.
Yeah, apparently Japan decided, hey, you know that idea that America had about doing King Kong versus Frankenstein? Yeah, let's actually do that, only with a different kaiju. And yeah, even they were at that point where we were calling the monster Frankenstein as well.
Hello.
Hey,
Okay, so still Infant Island, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing for the most part Mothra is still canon.
Well, partially because as you're about to see,
yeah, there's your reference.
yeah, when we'll get to Infant Island, it will have a bit of a different backstory than it had in the Mothra movie.
Guess to be fair, wasn't the backstory mentioned just something that was hypothesized by outsiders and like
As in,
if
also
the
the planimetry of it, what is on. You'll be able to understand what I mean.
still again kudos they got the peanuts back for this role. I guess they really liked the role.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, it sure is convenient that, the name that scientists gave it just happened to be the right name for the twins, apparently, since they also call it
So
Infant
yeah, in
Island.
this case, Mothra's egg was buried underground, but because of the tides, it was dragged out in the ocean. And apparently, the rest of Infant Island is barren, doesn't have any more the luscious jungle it used to have.
So apparently they need Mothra to survive.
This is what I mean while when saying that it really doesn't gel at really that much with what we've seen in the Mothra movie. Again, it was the 60s, so during that era you weren't really expecting 100% tight continuity. Oh no, they turned into dolls for that shot. Um, so it is understandable, to be honest.
Uh,
Unfortunately, yeah, we need
no
also
offense, but
more natives.
yeah, I was gonna say, no offense, but I don't think you can't really hear them from the thousands of miles away they are.
Although, speaking of continuity's sake, this does look like the inner cavern from the original Mothra movies, so. Okay, my guess is that maybe the idea here was to refine the lore of Mothra somewhat. It's kind of one of those cases where it is canon to the Mothra movie, it's just
It's
the
kind of like
original
with
Mothra
Dan
movie
Garrett
is.
in the early years of Dan Garrett as the Blue Beetle, where they were still stabilizing on
Yes.
what to give as an origin.
Classic early installment weirdness, basically.
Okay, for example,
Ooh.
that effect was clearly aged a bit more in terms of being noticeable.
Oh yeah, like when they clearly have no choice but to chroma key them in, you can tell when that's the case.
Yeah,
Still, credit where.
yeah, the natives of Infant Island are a peace-loving people. They have questionable, uh, for lack of a better term, paint on their bodies, but still.
Although I guess to give them some credit, they don't seem as much blackface as this one, at least in the sense that I remember in the Mothra one, it was way.
More
Well,
Oh,
bland and
hey Mothra, you were just chilling there in the background, but yeah, okay. So it turns out that we have a Mothra here, so the egg that's waiting to be hatched is, well,
a new
her
Mothra.
baby, I
Again,
guess.
remember, taking into account, the cycle of death and birth that bugs tend to have, they understand that Mothra is a kaiju that recycles itself over and over and over.
I will say though, Mothra is being way more patient in this version, not immediately attacking the site to get her egg back.
Considering the previous movie, the Shrovijins were asking her help over and over and over for a very long time while being held captive, I can understand why there's a difference in here.
I'm guessing in this case the Shobijins are the ones calling the shots. Shoot, if I recall correctly, later on they become literal political ambassadors to their island, so... Huh, from kidnappees to politicians, they really went up the ladder. That being said, I kind of feel sorry for Americans because they probably would be wondering 20 minutes into the film, hey, where's Godzilla? Wasn't this supposed to be Godzilla versus the Thing?
Well, remember,
and the funny thing is...
that is true, however, I was about to say that Godzilla doesn't get top billing, but in the American version he does. So...
And like imagine...
Power of attorney.
And the funny thing is, unless they re-edit or rearrange scenes, the quote-unquote Thing shows up well before Godzilla does in this movie.
Also, yeah, sure, why not? Give it enough time, and Phoenix Wright will have to defend Godzilla in court at some point.
Well, okay, if it's heroic era Godzilla Showa, he probably won't mind. Which, having seen a lot more of these movies thanks to YouTube making them free, I've noticed that it feels like the pattern with almost each era is Godzilla starts off as a bad guy, maybe misunderstood, but eventually becomes pretty much a full-on hero with each era.
Okay, that effect is pretty decent looking.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a giant moth monster who wants it back.
I was going to say, maybe just show a Mothra.
That is slavery, dear sir. We frown upon that these days. I hope.
We already went through that, sir. We don't need it again, thank you.
I love it. I love that these movies immediately understand, how can we make the bad guy very distinguishable? Ultra-capitalists.
I love how he was so willing to trade a giant egg for those two little women.
It's like, between the Mothra movie and this, what do you see in terms of being profitable? Yeah, sure, there will be a bit of a novelty at the moment, but I get the idea, it will be kind of a meteorite. The interest will fade away very quickly.
Sure,
oh, yeah. Make a public newspaper campaign. That'll work.
Well, it kind of was working in Mothra. Like, the whole public did legit turn on Clark Nelson. Which, come to think of it, the twins should probably remember. But, again, I do wonder if maybe it was about a mismatch here or there, or maybe their memory's just spotty, or to put it in D&D terms, they kind of just forgot.
But they've gone.
Remember, they teleport or some shit like that.
They can do that.
Thank you. Orange juice and generic brand soda, my favorite.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, a cola inspired drink.
Yes, it's Nihon Cola, yes.
Really? Just like that?
I love it. It's basically sum up in, we tried nothing and we ran out of ideas.
I love the fact that even Mouth was like, oh well, can get my egg back. Bye.
We didn't get the egg. Bye.
It saddens us that certain people cared so little about our feelings. Kind of passive aggressive there, twins. We legit were trying to help you.
Remember, Joba.
Well, guess that's the end of the movie. Bye.
Remember, Joba. Facts don't care about your feelings.
Mothra's pleas denied. Vicious slander. Public asks Happy Enterprises to reconsider.
Happy Center.
I do love that one of the newspapers actually said, won't anyone think about what the giant moth monster wants?
It's kind of
Which,
like that scene in She-Hulk that references the climax of Eternals in Esk. Why is there a giant fucking statue in the middle of the ocean?
Okay, being used to watching shows like Thunderbirds and Captain Scarlet, where they used this kind of effect a lot, filming miniatures,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
to be honest, it makes me glad that they didn't try and literally Photoshop the puppets moving in the shots.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, like for
Because
this kind of movie, it would not work. Well, I mean, maybe it would for the times, but that would definitely age a lot worse. Although, I guess now's as good a time as any. So, kaiju fans, do you think that the kaiju films should have stuck with the puppetry or suitmation, as people call it, people in suits, or do you think it was understandable that eventually, I think starting with Shin Godzilla, even the Japanese flicks took up CGI?
Remember, Joe, even Godzilla 2000 already had that.
this is
Well,
they kept the suit, they kept the man in a suit thing up till Final Wars.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And even Final Wars
yeah.
did had CGI for all of other kaijus.
Oh, it had CGI, but for the most part, the suits were still the main focus, even in those later films. I'm talking about, like, starting with Shin Godzilla, where the kaiju was pretty much completely CGI, like, no suits whatsoever. I've heard some people argue that even in newer ones, they should have kept the suits. I've heard some people say it was just a natural evolution. What do you guys think?
I mean,
I don't mind too much.
whatever's more comfortable for the people involved.
Yeah, like I've
Yeah.
seen. Okay, I haven't seen Shin Godzilla yet, but I have seen minus
One.
one, and the effects of that were amazing for the budget that they had. So yeah, I'm okay with them doing CGI if they could produce effects like that.
Yeah, like I get why people do miss Suitmation. It definitely
Oh wow,
gave
they're
the series a
doing I
unique
forgot, they're
look.
doing the same scene from Mothra. The whole journalist saying, "Oh, it's no use," and the editor-in-chief tells him, "No, where's your journalistic integrity?"
I love how we're almost 30 minutes in, and if it weren't for the title, you would just think this were a Mothra sequel. Which, yeah, it technically is, but reminder, this was supposed to be the fourth installment of the Godzilla franchise, and there's not even a mention of him yet. Like, say what you will about King Kong versus Godzilla. I feel like for the most part, yeah, Godzilla and King Kong were introduced relatively close enough to each other. Oh, now what?
I love how unapologetically evil these people are. Like straight up
They're
Captain
using
Planet villains.
Are they using smoke to try and make the egg hatch?
Basically recreating an
Soft-boiled.
environment.
I guess on the one hand, that's nice to the egg, but obviously they're doing it for villainous purposes.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say, imagine if it's all this time it was just food or something. Yeah.
And of course, hey, they're using the resources of an oil refinery, so we know they're evil.
If you think the pollution, if you think the using oil refinery is against nature stuff here is subtle, Jova, just wait till you see versus Hedorah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, isn't that the little smog monster?
Yes, it's Edora is the kaiju that gets formed when that is formed by human pollution.
And it definitely brought the series kicking and screaming and crying into the 70s.
I don't know if I should be excited or not.
Jova.
I gotta say, this Mothra vs. Godzilla movie definitely is so engaging to see the forces of Godzilla. Oh, wait. Although, it would be just the funniest thing if it turns out that the businessman who's working for another businessman is actually working for Godzilla who's funding this.
Clearly.
Because he's the villain. Wahahaha!
So Godzilla realized that just wrecking Japan every time is yielding diminishing returns. So he's just decided to try and bankrupt Japan.
Beamed.
And this time not by damaging the buildings so much that they have to pay loads of money every time to repair them, but just flat out taking the money using people on the ground.
Hang on. Those readings they got off of that weird material. What could it be? But yeah, no, I will say, I'm not going to call this movie bad, but I feel like this movie doesn't get it doesn't quite get the assignment as well as King Kong vs. Godzilla did in terms of, being a kaiju crossover. Again, maybe when
it's more about the
eventually
pace,
two meet and
Joba. You
fight.
have to, again, these movies are all about the anticipation more than anything.
Again, it really just makes me laugh whenever people act like the 2014 movie was the first one
A lot of the
this sort
Western
thing.
audience was just not used anymore to the traditional kaiju formula, Jova. Simple as that. Also, I get the idea a lot of people were probably pissed off the way they treated Bryan Cranston's character. Even though, again, it's another thing that these movies did, hire still celebrities for characters that get killed off.
Yeah, like, I guess despite Godzilla technically having a presence in American media, I guess people at the time mostly just remembered
It's a case where
maybe
the effect, the franchise and everything is famous via pop culture osmosis, but it's similar to Akira. Everyone knows about it, but it turns out not many people have actually watched it.
Yeah.
Hey, what's
kinda
with
get
the
the-
moving mud?
Bugs Bunny, what are you doing here?
Now, okay, I heard about taking a wrong turn in Albuquerque, but this is ridiculous.
Radioactive levels. I'm starting to think that little material they may have found may have been a piece of someone's flesh. Right, King Kong, you asshole! It's been years and I've been buried under dirt, but finally it's made way! I didn't hear no bell!
Actually,
Wait,
the last we saw Godzilla in that movie was him being thrown into the water. Like, how did
Yeah, I
he
was going
get
to say,
here?
he ended up in the water. How did he end up here?
Well, that's. I'm guessing the idea is that it's been enough years for, I guess, the sediments to have moved around, and I guess for land to have. Well, I guess the water must have dried up and parted around that area. Also, is it just me, or does the costume seem a bit more floppier in the face than I remember it?
Mm-hmm. Somehow Godzilla returned. Not even kidding, that's basically what this broadcasting says.
So, okay,
Now, it's important not to panic.
So I'm guessing what happened was that Godzilla was dormant after his fight with King Kong underwater, but I guess maybe either the land shifted enough so that he was underground instead of underwater, or the storm, I guess, got him mixed up with all that stuff. Because we do see boats out in that dirt field, which implies that's either where water used to be or stuff from the ocean got
No idea.
blown all the way there. I'll admit, this probably would have been fixed if you just had a Godzilla emerge from the water, but maybe they didn't want that to happen again after 2. I don't know. Pollution? That's a bad thing. I better break it up. Yeah, headcanon. This is Godzilla when he's actually trying to be a good guy now, but he doesn't realize that, oh yeah, that don't look good, now do it.
Wow, this is, I can't believe Godzilla's trying to stop, Godzilla vs. Hedorah coming out 7 years before it did.
But yeah, no, officially, this is the last film of the Showa era to have Godzilla as like a definitive antagonist.
Yes.
Apparently,
That's mostly because the next movie escalates things. Like shit is gonna get real, and Godzilla will have to step up to defend his planet.
I guess it's a case of
You'll see.
only
Trevor, don't
I get
worry.
to wreck things. All right. So 35 minutes into the film, Godzilla is finally back.
Just when I thought I could get out, they drive me back in.
I wonder if he's just mad that he lost that fight against Kong and is looking for the giant monkey, only to realize, oh, he ain't here. You can tell I'm not a native.
My tail's stuck.
It'd be funny if I actually did not mean for that to happen, but they figured, leave it in.
Could you imagine if it was like, of course, this is Godzilla's new weakness, his tail being caught in things.
I like how it looks like he was scared of the tower and was trying to run away from it as it was falling. It's Godzilla! There, I saw the line. Give me my paycheck. I'm getting the hell out of here.
Sorry, Java. You can only be an extra in The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
It's reminding me.
Oh, don't worry. If we ever get to a Generations event, I will demand you for you to point out the scene where you're in.
Okay, Godzilla's apparently a bit of a klutz in this
Listen,
movie.
bro just woke up from his sleep. Give me some time.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
not
he's been in the water and on the ground for God knows how
Without
long.
any nuclear energy. Remember, last movie he was trying to harness the energy of a volcano.
Okay, seriously though, what's up with the costume? Like, it's a lot more noticeably rubber and sagging in certain areas. Like, is it to showcase that Godzilla's really, really groggy after getting up?
Since I can 5 more minutes, please.
Although, yeah, apparently a new Godzilla suit and Mothra prop were made respectively for this.
It is
apparently
noticeable if you paid attention.
So I guess it's not a case that the old suit decayed. This is legit just a new one.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to how for the Turtles 3 movie they decided to have new suits from Saban. No, not Saban, sorry. New suits in general instead of having the same from the Dimensions Creature Shop.
That said, they did recycle the 1962 suit for water scenes with Godzilla and a shot for when he's tumbling off a cliff.
Fair enough.
On the positive aspects, the new suit was lighter and did allow for Nakajima to make more fluid movements and whatnot. And the fact that reinforced heels gave him the freedom to roll and flip without losing his footing.
He's kind of gonna need it because, again, we're not too far off from the movie where he does the drop kick. So,
yes.
This movie should be renamed the Godzilla versus Journalism.
But remember, it was an important part also in the Mothra movie. The whole, journalists are the real heroes that are allowing, the war to be saved.
Part of me kind of legit does want a giant crossover with just all the reporters from all the kaiju movies banding together and going, oh, here's my kaiju, here's my kaiju, here's my kaiju. Let's have them team up.
Get out of here, Steve Martin. You're just a spectator.
That being said, yeah, now that we've been doing these kaiju movies, my god.
But sir, we were nearly flattened by Godzilla.
Oh, come on, you've survived this
pictures
long,
of
you'll be
Godzilla.
fine.
It's like Jade on the Japanese
I
Jade on a Jade.
thought it was the giant egg you wanted, sir.
Speaking of which, okay, thank you, that was a shot at the egg.
We truly needed that.
Calling it now, that giant egg's gonna be the one who has to save the day or something because Godzilla kills the original Mothra and she transfers her consciousness to the egg.
Yeah, they got a good point. I mean, they asked before and we said no. So what are the chances they're going to say, yeah, okay, we'll help you because you helped us. Oh, wait, no, you didn't.
Although, I have to give him credit, it's a good idea to at least ask, since as far as you know, they are your best shot. That being said, I guess it probably does help that Mothra didn't attack, which gives them the idea that she's benevolent. Although, in that case, it does really beg the question on, hey, how much information do people remember from movies? Because, yeah, if the first Mothra movie, well, okay, to be fair, if it is canon, then I guess probably the news reporters did make it clear that Mothra only caused a rampage because of Clark Nelson's BS.
Well, remember, the fictional nation that he was part on I don't think he's even referenced. So that's the weird part also too, because the Mothra movie had very specific things that he did.
Although this looks like, oh, we had a plane, but let's use a boat for this part of the trip there.
I'm on a boat. I'm on a boat.
We interrupt this movie to bring you
The love boat.
3 people in a dinghy.
So yeah, this is what happened to Infant Island.
Oh, because the egg was taken. Damn. How the heck does that work anyway? Oh, and egg's not around to, I guess, channel its life energy into? And I'm guessing Mothra can't just lay another one either. What the heck? Okay, there's one thing about blackface, but those people were
Orange.
dead-ass painted red.
Well, yeah, more slightly lighter shade of red.
I'm not sure what they're trying to go for with this. Is it showcasing that the natives have
Yeah, it's
turned
like the
red
Praetorian
because of
Guard
it?
from the Star Wars movies. Sure, let's go with that. Oh, right, it's the berry juice, I guess.
So they're literally just painted red because.
Um, yeah.
But it turns out it's liquidized heroin.
At the very least, these characters, yeah, these characters tend to have, more respect than Willie did in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Good that you. Well, okay, to be fair, the twins spoke English, so I guess it's not too. Well, I mean, Japanese in this case.
Yeah.
But you get the idea. I missed the part where that's my problem.
Literally.
Yeah. Yes, that was our concern.
To be fair, it was the storm that stole your egg.
Yeah, well, not our fault. Blame Mother Nature.
Which, hey, in some versions, you literally can blame Mother Nature. Wait, trusted in them once. Okay, now that does imply that the first Mothra movie happened.
See what I mean, boy? It feels very weird playing fast and loose more than anything.
Yeah. I do wonder if they were, kind of flip flopping between do we really want to reference it or whatnot. I guess my only wonder is why they felt they had to play fast and loose.
Mm.
Because it's not like it would have been a super tragedy if, I don't know, this movie didn't turn out well.
Are they singing to make sure their blue screen doesn't flicker?
It's all part of the magic. Wow! It's like getting a personal concert to the Peanuts!
I mean, have you heard of the joke that your song should be scored by Vince Guaraldi, I guess?
No,
There you go.
surprisingly.
Yeah, calling it now, any time that they're singing like this, it's legit just the filmmakers wanting basically a free Peanut song sequence.
I mean, why not? It's kind of like if you have professional singers for a role, you might as well have them doing a song. Like Idina Menzel in the first Enchanted movie.
Yeah, and I get it, she wasn't frozen big, but she'd been in Wicked. Thankfully, they made up for that with Disenchanted. I mean, granted, they would have been, absolutely mocked into the streets if they didn't by that point.
Pretty much. And yes, we know what
It's
you're
very
thinking.
convenient.
No.
Pretty please? Oh, when you put it like that. Sorry. Hey, if you could at least answer us this one question. Legit, why are some of your guys painted red?
We don't like to talk about it.
Boy, is she gonna have egg on her face when Godzilla's saving them from Mecha Godzilla, who's
Or,
actually trying to end humanity.
again, just the next movie will be something else on the matter.
Yeah, one thing I could tell with later eras of Godzilla is that I get the feeling that with later eras, there was definitely more of a plan, at least, have Godzilla be more of an ambiguous force that did need to be combated, but later definitely turns out to be a good guy. Whereas, obviously with the first era, the Showa era, there probably wasn't a big plan in mind, so of course he started off as the bad guy before becoming the hero, who would dance and space kick for us. Okay. Perhaps we can indeed restore their faith in humanity.
Who knows?
This is why it makes all the more sense that Superman chose to be a reporter. He's just that much a beacon of good. And I think Superman actually has had a crossover with Godzilla, so hey,
Yes,
that's
there has
another
been,
reporter for a kaiju scenario.
in the wake, at the very least recently, because in the wake of Godzilla versus Kong or X Kong, I forgot which specific one of the two, they had a crossover with the Justice League.
Beautiful. But let us not forget Godzilla versus his strongest opponent, Charles Barkley.
I mean, he's the most powerful warrior on the earth, apparently.
I like how this implies that Mothra did hatch at some point from her egg at the end of the first film, essentially.
Mhm.
And now I guess whenever she doesn't need to, put the wall up on people, she just hatches and chills.
Pretty much. It's only a model.
I'm surprised that, yeah, considering we've had Mothra in the legendary films now, I'm surprised the twins haven't showed up.
Again, Dweebs, they are for
They
a quick cameo
did.
in the credits. One of the newspapers tell about the Mothra egg being found and with them.
Okay, also, I think that in the Monsterverse, they actually put in references for them, as in, actual characters.
Also, that comic series by Linkara is still currently reviewing, World of Monster, I think it's called. It's terrible. But as a variation to that, where the twins are evil and are summoning Batra to destroy the world instead.
Sorry, what was that comic called?
I think World of the Monsters, I forgot. Again, it's the series that Linkara is currently reviewing.
But yeah, I mean, the Monsterverse, they technically are there, but as the Chen twin sisters, essentially.
Oh no, we're pointing at a map, Dweebs.
To say after seeing the American cuts of King Kong versus Godzilla, I never wanted to see another map in these films again.
I mean, to be fair, there is a degree of usefulness, but still.
In that version, a lot of the map scenes, and indeed most of the other American added scenes, for that matter, was he just saying stuff we already knew.
Mm-hmm.
So don't touch it. Yes, a mixture of using actual cranes with the occasional miniature shots.
Yes. Well, I already did the Bob the Builder joke.
Well, electric power lines. Since this is a Godzilla movie, I think I know where this is gonna go.
Oh, come on. Do you really think I'm going to fall for that same trick 3 times?
Not to mention, Godzilla really is not having the best week. He literally just woke up suddenly and forcefully, and has been under bombardment ever since. I will be pissed off too.
Come on, guys. I'm going to sleep for a couple of years. Give me a break.
It's like, look, I got my shit rocked by a giant monkey man, okay? You do that and you see how you turn out after you wake up.
Where is that? Where is the monkey, by the way?
The universal corporate overlords want to pretend he doesn't exist.
Which is funny because, like we've mentioned, apparently Frankenstein's monster will get his own crossover with a kaiju as well.
I don't know what to tell. Like, rights holding can be potentially fecal.
Yeah, I don't even. Is Frankenstein or Frankenstein's monster public domain?
Technically speaking, yes.
Yes, it
similar
is,
to
but
Dracula.
apparently Although, if that American Dad episode was any other one that was taking the piss out of copywriter, well, a certain version of Frankenstein's monster with the bolts may not be public. I'm not entirely sure. It would not surprise me if that's the case. Sherlock Holmes has a whole era where if he dares to have character development, that's apparently not covered by public domain. Jesus Christ.
Yep. I'm just as scared of being fired as I would of Godzilla firing on me.
Oh, hey, you guys are still in this movie.
Remember, we need to have the clear-cut villains. Most unorthodox.
Bloody hell.
Maybe I should have had security since I'm such a stereotypic bad guy.
Of course, nothing personal, just business. Jesus.
Wow. The
Jesus
ultra
Christ.
super bad guy beaten to death by his lackey.
Just like every thief, the apprentice betrays the master at some point. Something like that, I don't know.
I
Just-
guess, to be fair, maybe like with Clark Nelson, it's a showcasing that he doesn't get a big dynamic death, but a pathetic one as deserving of a criminal like him.
The movie showcase wants to have a point that greed can only lead you to death, misery, and being just unpleasant to your fellow man. What
Sorry,
was
the
the
camera went
word?
out of focus for a second there. Oh,
Did someone
Oh.
order some karma?
Godzilla's
no,
coming, run!
I'd
Yeah,
like to
like the
cancel.
story.
I'd like to cancel my order for karma. Yes, a gun will totally save you against Godzilla. But no, he actually uses it to kill him.
Shot in the back and all. Jesus.
Okay, come on, Godzilla. I just wanted to get my money back.
Yeah, no dice.
Dude, I don't even know who you are, so you're as good as dead.
And even if I did know who you are, you're an arsehole anyway, so you'll be you're fucked either way.
I guess some might argue it's not the most, thematic death, since this guy getting killed by Godzilla technically had nothing to do with Godzilla, since the whole egg stuff, but he still definitely had it coming one way or another. Bye.
There you go.
It wasn't even this atomic breath that killed him.
No,
It was just
just like-
Godzilla whacking the building with his tail.
to represent, casual, the kind of victim that can happen. You see, Godzilla might be a monster that can destroy Japan, but he's also a good guy that fights against capitalism.
Finally. God,
Oh, wait.
I hated that egg.
Oh wait, was Godzilla attracted to the egg for more power or something?
Mm-hmm. I mean, he woke up.
Okay, then, in that case...
Bro needs some protein, come on.
Okay, in that case, then, actually, the guy being killed by Godzilla is thematic then, since if you hadn't kept that damn egg, you wouldn't be trampled, now would you?
Learn for next time. Oh no.
Yeah, imagine if he somehow survived that, comes back as a cyborg and everything. Which... Again, cyborgs won't be unheard of in the Kaiju-verse.
Alright, finally, almost an hour.
I just wanted to die in peace.
An hour in, we're having the first round.
Yeah, no, like, even with King Kong versus Godzilla, we kind of got the first round, I'd say, like, I think around the 45-minute mark, if I recall correctly.
No, that's when the octopus happened. Godzilla versus the octopus. They basically had the King Kong fighting someone else to pass the time and to showcase how capable he was.
The Queen's here, bitches.
That said, she might be on her last leg since, let's see, life cycle-wise, she's been in Monarch form for a while, so, she has, how long left to live?
Yes.
but we didn't promise. We said no.
Apparently, they did promise off screen, I guess. My God, first a giant gorilla, now a giant moth. I was supposed to be the weirdest thing in
really not
Japan.
having a good day.
I almost feel sorry for him. If it weren't for the past few movies of him kind of being an asshole, he would really kind of just be, as far as you know, someone who just woke up.
He needs to have the patience of a saint that, by the time the next movie happens, he steps up to defend the planet.
Yeah, that's my egg, so I'm gonna need you to step off. Hey, wait a minute. Aren't you the moth that killed Jesus? He was my best friend, you dick!
Yeah, I can see the stop motion in some particular shots. They're using the Ray Harryhausen technique.
Yes, Nakajima, you are fighting this puppet. Act like it's the fight of your life. Oh, snap. She actually can do something other than flap her wings.
Godzilla, you really need to start working on your tail if, the strategy of your opponent is grab that thing.
Jesus. Looks like she's trying to claw his face out. I will say that I do think one disadvantage this does have against King Kong vs. Godzilla is, for the time when this movie was made, there's only so much fight choreography you can conduct between guy in a suit and a puppet that really has mainly flapping as its main moveset. Still is a good fight, I will say,
So
but
yeah,
I do feel
Mothra
like the
has a
King
new
Kong
trick
fights
up
were more...
her sleeve, poison powder. Or paralysis power, I forgot which specific one it is.
Again,
Stun
like Tio
Spore,
mentioned,
is it?
Yeah.
Well, I do feel like the King Kong fights definitely felt more dynamic since, it was literally two guys roughhousing. I do appreciate that they did think to give Mothra some new tricks as well to help keep the fight interesting. And somewhere on Skull Island, King Kong looks up for his newspaper and goes, guess that larva I saw swimming has got it. Well, not my problem anymore.
Unfortunately, unlike King Kong, Mothra is very much vulnerable to the atomic breath.
Yep, and remember, she's kind of got a time limit too. And the thing is...
Bonk.
I mentioned, poor Godzilla has had quite a few pratfalls. Like, this really does seem like the dude's just trying to get over a drunk hangover the whole movie. Oh dear. Oh, at least I can die with my egg.
Very rare I see that happen in universe. You in the middle of the big fight scene, you die.
Wait, she's down? There, you all saw it. She's down. I won that fight.
You barely did anything.
So yeah, first round has to go to Godzilla, unfortunately.
Just like
Which
with King Kong.
which is a bit unfortunate because, up until this point, with Godzilla being treated as the bad guy, you would think fights would go at least in a draw where, even King Kong was not completely defeated in the first round.
It was more like King Kong went, you know what, screw this, I'm out of here after Godzilla singed him. Although, again, to be fair, that still leaves King Kong as like the best person who's fared against the atomic breath, since Anglers got flipping cooked by it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Mothra's dead. Now what do we do?
Send more toys seems to be the best strategy.
That's not for a few movies yet, Tio.
Well, Mothra, you tried. And I guess you died a hero. They'll throw a parade for you.
The Mothra theme song. If in universe we get a well, maybe the legendary one. If we get like a in universe day of tribute to Mothra in those movies, can Bear McCreary do the arrangement like he did for
God, I
King of the
wish.
Monsters, the 2019 one?
I wish so
That would be
much Bear
cool.
McCree will continue to score for the Monsterverse instead of, Junkie XL /
Well, that's the
Tom
thing, though,
Morgan.
Tio. In the newer films, the newer film's gonna have Henry Jackman.
So someone else entirely.
Huh.
I can only hope so because,
I mean,
while there was an improvement for X-Kong in the score, Bear McCreary for King of the Monsters set up a bar so high that has not been recaptured yet, if you ask me.
well, in the case of X-Kong, there was another composer as well, Antonio Di Iorio.
King of the Monsters was so cool. They even did a remix of the song Godzilla, too.
Yeah, with the singer of System of a Down.
Godzilla is approaching the generator. The generators are actually charging up.
Remember from the King Kong versus movie, Godzilla is weak to electricity for now.
And again, specifically for that movie, electricity powers up King Kong, which I don't think any other iteration has mentioned Kong's lightning powers.
Not that I remember, at least. I love Godzilla was like, fuck this pylon in particular.
We've just been sitting here the whole time.
We've been helping.
Giving Mothra a funeral.
Imagine that, yeah, giving a funeral while somewhere Godzilla's still going around wrecking shit.
And I guess the people back on the island just know when to do this stuff, probably thanks to a telepathic link. Okay, I'll admit, I can't tell if they're doing blackface as much here as it is actually natural skin people who look tanned. The red painting thing was its own thing.
It definitely feels toned down compared to the Mothra movie, but it's still present if you ask me.
Yeah, that's probably the case. Like, now in the Mothra movie, that was definitely apparent because they were absolutely darkly painted. I wonder if in this case they're going for a tanning. Like, it still is iffy, whichever way you make it. And the weird thing is, you dudes were collaborating with Americans by the time of these movies, so again, maybe hire some Polynesians or whatnot. I
No,
don't know.
because America was already having its own fair share of doing that, like with the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea movie.
I'm sure it'll work this time, guys.
It's kind of like
Sure.
how
Hey.
in World War Hulk, we're having a couple superior fights, and then General Ross arrives with the U.S. Army and says and totally says that he's gonna save the day. Like,
He didn't.
no, as a matter of fact.
I don't know why these people never think we obviously can't beat Godzilla, so why not let's just try and lure and push him to a certain area? Which they were doing technically as early as the second movie, basically trying to lure him away from the city. So, well, not just that, they were trying to at least lead him back out to sea. Oh, a net! This'll do the trick.
Obviously.
Oh no! It does absolutely nothing to me! Morons. Mix with electricity! Oh no, you know my secret! Two nets!
It's kind of like that
Oh my
sketch.
god.
It's kind of like that sketch from the Eric Andre show. It's like, instead of what if it was purple, what if it was two reds?
And this is the year where it was clear that the government's funding went to nets. How funny would it be actually if in the Godzilla vs. Mothra movie it is just the flipping net that brings him down? Well, crud. They literally just said it's at its limit, dumbass.
No, push it further. Wait, what happens if we push it too far?
Oh god, it's like how the bad guy takes care of himself in Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within.
Oops. Yeah, that's what happens when we push it too far.
The generator loses power. There you go.
Ha, you guys done goofed. And hey, I guess I gotta give Godzilla credit.
Christ, do you really need me to destroy your stuff? You're perfectly capable of destroying it yourselves.
I guess I'll give Godzilla credit. The minute he realizes it, he figures, okay, time to stop doing everything close range. Laser breath for y'all.
I know it wasn't intentional ways, but you accidentally giving Godzilla a Midwest Minnesota accent is kind of hilarious. It's like, well, gee, I don't want to really destroy your prefecture or anything, fellas.
So they actually almost had him. They probably could have had him if they just kept it maybe at its limit and drained him over time. Where's Miss Kobayashi with her dragon maid? Actually, I totally could see Godzilla being present in the Dragon Maid verse. Oh God!
Shit.
The children!
What about the children?
Oh hey, look, nice homage to the original film where Godzilla showed up over an island head. Though he looks absolutely ginormous with that scaling.
Yeah,
oh wait, now he looks proper
it
again.
looks like the creepy walrus from that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, nice homage, but I don't know, something about it just feels a bit worse.
It's because he's clearly ballooned up in size for that shot, essentially. Like, here he looks more proper, but before, it made it look like his neck was as tall as the mountain alone.
Didn't you people know? I actually have a new superpower, the ability to change my size at will.
No,
I'm
that's
pretty sure there
actually
actually is a legit version of
that.
Godzilla who's done
Actually,
that.
no, that's Jet the
And
Jaguar in a few
if
films.
Mothra was still alive, she'd be like, "Oh, come on, that's cheating."
Also, seriously, Jet Jaguar does that?
Yes, don't worry, Jova. We'll get there soon enough, and it is my favorite kaiju movie.
Maybe the film he was
Oh.
introduced in was pretty naff.
What was that film he was introduced
Godzilla
in?
vs. Megalon.
But yeah, speaking of adding on new powers, it is this film that establishes a special case with Mothra.
Okay, between the quick editing from before and now, these particular lights and also the fun profile, this movie in particular is having a bit of uh, love for seizure-inducing effects. There you go. Here's the new Mothra in larval form.
Surprise!
And if I recall correctly, it's this film that establishes that Mothra can transport basically her mind, soul, and body to her kid.
It's kind of like a reincarnation, but here's the twist. It's a twins!
Oh, snap. So does that mean that they both share her mind and memory, or just one share it and the other
Don't
is
think
completely
about it.
new? But children that we have never seen before in this movie, they're
Yeah,
there.
seriously.
Okay, at least they show them now, but still,
We
though,
should have seen all.
it
I
feels like such
argue,
a
yeah,
last minute thing.
we should have seen them earlier.
It's like, oh shoot, how do we make the stakes clear that Godzilla's evil? He's about to destroy an island with children on it. And I guess this one reporter guy really cares about the children that much, which, it makes sense and everything, but I honestly would have made it be that he'd be more distressed if, like, his employees or whatnot were there who he cares for. That said, this implies that the kids have to, like, sail to an island for school and whatnot. Jesus. It's okay, children. Just imagine that Godzilla is just a big bully.
I mean, that's a few movies from now.
That makes it worse!
Okay. Now, I've heard mixed things on some movies, but I have definitely heard, like, nothing but hatred to that one movie.
We'll get there.
Which one?
Destroy All Monsters, I think it's called, or All Monster Attack. The one
No,
with
no, All Monsters Attack.
There you go, that one.
It just boggles my mind. Kaijus are real in your universe. Why make everything involving them a dream?
Budgets.
But
No idea. Possible trends and everything. Remember, the creation of Minilla was to attract a younger demographic, and it did not work.
I think Hanna-Barbera used Manila better than the movies did.
So yeah, the round 2 is with the newborn twin Mothras against Godzilla.
That said, they're in larva form, so we'll see how well they fare against Godzilla. Imagine literally being born and you immediately have to go to war.
Tough life. They're basically doing the Velociraptor tactic from Jurassic Park, believe it or not.
Oh, this is gonna be interesting.
And ever since I saw that Caddicarus video, I can't imagine Velociraptor now without thinking of Winston Churchill.
How random.
Multiplayer
I'm sure there's some context.
multiplayer cheats for the original Medal of Honor on PS1.
Oh, and let me guess, that one involved Velociraptors.
Yes.
Yes. That's why I'm trying to hunt down a copy of that one just for that.
Honestly, I'm more reminded instead also that basically when Nicara got to review the comics based on the thing from another world, one thing that he found was, I think, a Argentinian fan website of Jurassic Park that talked about tangentially about the comic, but it mistranslated the name and called Keith David's character, Childs, mistranslated into Raptor Dude.
Oh my goodness.
Also, you can tell that the eyes in the Godzilla suit are made of glass or something like that, because in some shots where Godzilla pans his head, they tend to become pure white because of the light reflex.
I'm wondering if maybe this was also a way for the actor to see through the eyes, essentially.
I think it
without
was a
giving
case
it
where he was
away.
seeing through the mouth, as usual, for these kind of things. Again with
Got
the
your
tail.
tail!
Really, Godzilla?
Wow!
You should just cut that off at this point. It really is more of an inconvenience. Just flailing the poor fucker around.
You know, the funny thing is, the tone of this movie feels a lot more serious with King Kong vs. Godzilla, but I feel like we've gotten a lot more funnier images out of this movie overall.
It's with this movie that, okay, already with Godzilla, King Kong vs. Godzilla with the tree scene, but the fight scenes are gonna become sillier and sillier with each movie.
String shot!
So yeah, their final move against Godzilla, double string shot on both sides, if I recall correctly.
It's super effective.
So basically what this movie is telling me is that we needed to go after Godzilla not with tanks, but with nets, basically.
That's what the military was trying to do.
Yeah, like, between the military using nets and them webbing him up like this, Godzilla's apparently like Wonder Woman, weak to bondage.
Frankly, I'm reminded of that amazing moment from the first Twitch Praise Pokemon run, where ATT, I forgot the specific nickname, but the Venomoth, managed to solo one of Lance's Dragonites, by poison powder, and because the AI of Gen 1 is completely fucked up, the Dragonite did not know what to do.
Yeah, no, I legit learned some new tricks from Twitch Plays Pokemon because of shenanigans like that. Reminds me, were they still doing ones for, like, even the most recent ones? I know it's not as popular as it used to be. I think I stopped around the time they were doing Gen 6.
I know that they started building more lore about it, about the voices and the characters, understanding them, but not that much.
I will say it's admirable that they were actually able to do the 3DS one before 3DS emulators were even really feasible. So, is Godzilla deadass about to get defeated by Mothra in her larva form?
It's actually it's actually an interesting subversion. You would think that the adult form will have a better chance, but no, it's actually the newly born one that strategizes.
I mean, they're obviously a lot younger, but more in them than their recently deceased mum.
I just find it funny that we're so concerned about Miss Kobayashi and her kids when I think she literally got introduced to us, like, what, 10 minutes away from the end of the film? But yeah, no, this is actually an interesting change of pace here. The idea that while technically her final form is arguably her most popular, it does still have disadvantages and weaknesses that the other forms don't have. And I do like they show how powerful his atomic breath is. So powerful that it's able to melt the literal rocks.
Still, at the end of the day, the moral of this movie in particular is that Godzilla cannot catch a fucking break.
I mean, he's still the bad guy at the end of the day, but damn.
Also, I hope the actor could breathe in all of that.
Here's hoping.
Be funny if at the end he falls over and they just arrest him.
Yeah, sure. Not at that point he needs Phoenix Wright to defend him in court.
Yeah, and God. I mean, granted, step up or step down from defending Galactus. As for the effect with the webs coming out of the larva's mouths, apparently that was compressed air run into a sealed tube of liquid polystyrene. And at a high pressure level, the liquid polystyrene was forced through a tube that ran through the back of the larva and into the nozzles in their mouths, essentially.
So, stop me if you heard this one. Godzilla get defeated by being tossed into the ocean.
Again.
Oh. Which, the ocean's like his natural environment, so shouldn't that be considered like we should do something?
Oh no, I love the ocean too much. I'll concede defeat if I can just stay in here.
That's the thing also. He died to a pratfall once again when you think about it.
Maybe this is why they turned Godzilla into a good guy from the next movie, because he kind of lost his menace just dying the same way twice in a row.
Fun fact also, as long as the nozzle was small, the solution used for the webbing when first emitted, it actually did solidify into a web. However, the web was so good that gasoline had to be used to remove the webbing and the suit had to be thoroughly dried to prevent it from combusting.
Jesus. So what if Spider-Man was an arsonist?
Yeah. No wonder we had him go against Godzilla.
Spider-Man, burning buildings because he can.
So yeah, we end with the twin moths, Mothra larvae returning to Infant Island.
So does this mean we'll see two Mothras in a following project?
Not that I remember. I think it's a case where, just Mothra showing up for the most part. So yeah, as usual, it just ends like that.
So they really were at this point just relying on Godzilla falls into the lake and he's dead. Like, keep in mind, for the first movie, we had to see him turn into a skeleton. For the second movie, we needed to freeze him in an iceberg. After that, whatever, he fell into the water. I'm sure that means he's done and good. So you can't even rely on him drowning since, again, water's kind of his natural element.
Final thoughts, Ben. Leaves her.
It was fine. I could sense the formula was maybe getting to the point where they did need to have a little bit of a reboot. Well, not reboot, but a refresh. Because you have Godzilla literally get defeated the same way twice in succession. And he's supposed to be the villain. And, what's the solution going to be? Oh, just push him off a cliff into the water. Bam, there you go. There's it.
It's admittedly the thing with a lot of recurring villains in monster or horror movies, essentially. Like, at some point, the ways they get beaten each time tend to either get redundant or just outright silly. Never forget that Michael Myers was ultimately defeated in the original timeline by Busta Rhymes.
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
I mean, the effects are all pretty good. And while some of the chroma keying still isn't that great, it's better than what we saw in Mothra. This is from the same director and all.
Yeah.
Yeah, still a Shiro Honda.
Onwards and upwards, I guess.
Yeah, the music's still good. And the performances were all pretty solid. Even the over the top bad guy and his really kind of unexpected end. He doesn't even die at the hands of Godzilla. He dies by just getting shot by his greed.
But it's okay because the main bad guy basically does get killed by Godzilla, essentially. Not directly trampled, but thanks to Godzilla, he is crushed by the building crumbling.
Damn.
Which does work because, hey, if he hadn't put the egg there, Godzilla wouldn't have come there.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I don't think it's not a bad movie. It's certainly fun to watch, but yeah, I think the Formula One started to get a bit stale at this point. So I could appreciate in the next movie they were going to shake things up a little bit.
Java.
Okay, I'm gonna say this. Overall, it's a good movie, and I'll admit, part of my issue was me getting caught off a bit by the pacing. That being said, I can see good reasons for why, again, we took maybe a bit of time to get to Godzilla, and hey, they do technically show Mothra as early as, like, the first 15 or so minutes, so that's fine. That being said, I do feel like King Kong vs. Godzilla probably handled the formula a bit better in the sense of the two clashing monsters having a sense of scale and build-up, while at least giving us enough showing of the monsters' feats and whatnot. Again, this is kind of hilarious in the American version called Godzilla vs. the Thing, since one, you'd be led to believe that you're supposed to be rooting for Godzilla, since, if I recall correctly, I think, wasn't the Thing franchise already a thing?
Yes,
By the time,
there was already an
essentially, so.
adaptation of Who Goes Where done in the 50s.
So, like, imagine, like, people wonder, first of all, wait, so Godzilla's fighting that thing? Nope. And then you technically see the Thing in the movie ages before Godzilla shows up, essentially. I really do wonder what was going through their heads for that, especially since Mothra had already been seen. But anyway, that being said, while this movie definitely feels like it's trying to take itself more seriously than King Kong vs. Godzilla, which had way more comedy did, ironically, due to how the suits and props and effects are, this kind of comes off as more goofy in some regards. And I will say this, I feel like where it goes to the end where Godzilla's attacking an island of school children with Miss Kobayashi, I feel like that's a last minute stakes raise. Like, I don't know. I feel like we already have enough with Godzilla literally being an oppressive force of destruction. Suddenly making it so that he's attacking an island full of school children makes it seem like he's just going out of his way to be a bastard now.
I think it's basically the excuse so that the characters can go there. You know, have a reason to be there on the island to witness what's happening, I guess.
I guess.
Yeah, it's still a stretch.
Yeah, no. That being said, I do like, again, the spin on things where it's not Mothra's final form that beats him, but actually her larva form, which, in a funnily enough way, does kind of make this a bit of a bookend to the original Mothra movie, which saw Larva Mothra coming to destroy Japan, and yet Larva Mothra leaves Japan having saved it in this one, essentially. Interesting stuff. I do like how, again, okay, despite how the Godzilla franchise doesn't often bring back characters, they did recur not only the Shibijin twins, but their actresses too. Like, I guess in that case, they did want to maintain continuity, which is a bit weird because, like Tio pointed out, the continuity with the original Mothra is kind of all over the map, essentially, so I'm not entirely sure what to think. Some of the fight scenes between Godzilla and obviously Final Form Mothra are a bit wonky because, like I mentioned, there's only so much they could do with Mothra in her final form, at least at that time. Again, thankfully, even as early as this movie, we do see them starting to give Final Form Mothra more effects and powers and whatnot, which would make her effective against an enemy like Godzilla and other kaijus, as we'll come to see. Overall, I'd say this is another good entry. I still liked King Kong vs. Godzilla better, but I feel like in terms of keeping the franchise going, this is a perfectly fun romp that continues the fun and ventures for times to come. And oh boy, does it technically act as quite a good stepping stone to what comes next. Tio, your final thoughts?
I know this sounds a bit mean, but to me, this is well perfectly fine. This is a movie on autopilot. You know exactly what the places where we're going will go. There are still some interesting subversion that's happening, like how who takes care of Godzilla at the end, instead of actually relying on waiting until the new larvae become fully Mothra again. And the message is still, perfectly fine enough, and it's an entertaining movie for what you expect. The bad guys are, cartoonishly evil, so it makes it more cathartic for them to being taken down, and not necessarily by intention, but by causalities, where either their own greed or the circumstances, the consequences of their own actions that bite them in the ass. Perfect case of catharsis and all. I just feel sorry for Godzilla because in this movie, despite being told as the villain, he really is just not having the best of his days. His only crime was waking up because he smelled the protein of the egg.
I
So,
legit wonder if maybe there were other people who raised that notification, and that's part of why they eventually just made him a good guy. Because, yeah, no, despite him supposedly being the bad guy who will target an island of children, I feel kind of sorry for him most in the case. He wakes up groggy, trips over. Like, yeah, most of the destruction feels more like him being a klutz rather than intentional this time. And yes, he is vilified for it, alas.
hashtag Godzilla's lander. Again, other than that, it's perfectly serviceable. Like, as we've noted, the formula starts to become a bit repetitive, but thankfully things will improve from now on. So, you can look forward to that. Technically speaking, the movie that came after this introduced a new threat for Godzilla, and one that will become relatively recurring and quite possibly still a friendly menace for him, even if it's gonna have a bit of a Vegeta effect. And it's basically where the series not will jump the shark, but definitely will start ramping up by introducing the concept of, well, aliens, But we're not here for that just yet. Lives, where are we going next?
Well, we're going to my neck of the woods, actually, Britain. For it's time for us to throw our hat into the kaiju ring with Gorgo.
All right, see
Oh
you for that.
boy. See you then.
Ta-da.